Now you go.
runs. This is test lab number what?
This film shows the equipment that was furnished by Willis and Paul to Minnesota Power for their Hibberd steam plant in Duluth, Minnesota. The equipment we're currently looking at is the truck dump area, which was furnished by Screw Conveyor Corporation. One of the problems with this piece of equipment is the fact that chips leak out in between the truck dumper and the truck dump hopper itself, as can be seen here.
Out of this cylinder. What they're showing here is the chips flowing from the outside of the receiving hopper, the drag chain, and the cylinder spraying oil all over everything.
The seal problem with the cylinders was corrected on December 2nd by the people that were on site with Screw Conveyor Corporation.
Truckload was 100% wood chips.
Here you can see the drag chain below the truck dump hopper, handling the wood chips quite well.
This is the drag chain conveyor unloading the wood chips from the discharge hopper, the truck dump area.
This is the second load of chips which we witnessed being dumped. This took place on December 3rd, after the cylinders were repaired.
Problems getting bigger.
This view is from the hog and disc screen tower. The load being dumped here is bark from the paper mill just down the street. This is the problem material, as it bridged the dump hopper, and 90% of this load had to be hand-picked and shoveled out of the dump hopper itself.
Transfer point from the drag conveyor to truck dump area. The wood chips heading up the incline conveyor. The wood handling section.
There's no problem with the disc screen and hog handling the wood chips, as you can see here. Virtually all of the chips are -3-inch, so all of them go through the screen and only a few pieces make it to the hog. A partial view of the new mill. A tube and conveyor coming from the hog building. Discharges onto this pile. They're loaded onto trucks. Take it over to the wood-fired power plant, which is about 3/4 of a mile away. There's a Jeffrey Hogg inside of the plant. They won't let me take this camera in. At the time this film was made, the hog was running inside of the hog building, but I was told that all of this material was being bypassed.
Are about 12 inches long. That's about a 6-inch diameter lily pad, if that's what you want to call it. inside the building, they got a conveyor that dumps onto the hog product belt that comes from their filter presses. So all these patties you see laying on the ground here is the filter cake material.
We will now follow the bark through the system. I was on the site for 2 whole days, and what we're viewing is the total amount of bark that was able to be fed this disc screen. The dump hopper is now bridged, and virtually no material is able to come up the conveyor and feed the screen. The heaviest loads were about 30 or 40 seconds ago, and at that time there was no problem with the disc screen or the hog handling the material. At no time during this visit were we able to determine any of the capacity rates being fed to the screen of either chips or bark. The bark being fed here is only a small amount that is being pulled out from underneath the bridge in the hopper. This is the Williams 50 KS hog with 200 horsepower motor. On the left is the oversized chute from the disc screen, located directly above. And the disc screen undersized chute, which diverts the material onto the incline conveyor going to the fuel storage shed. This is the hog product and disc screen undersized product, where it loads onto the inclining conveyor to the Miller-Hoff storage shed. The chips which you see spilled on the walkway are there because the belt had ice on it earlier in the morning, and ethylene glycol was sprayed on the belt, and after that everything worked out okay. The following sequence is in response to Minnesota Power's reports that the hog and screen tower is shaking severely. What we're looking at in the following frames, I believe, are harmonics set up in the structure, and it's vibrating some of the handrails and kick plates. The hog is running very smoothly, and the movements which you see are not related to any imbalance in the hog itself.
Now in the reclaimed building. Wood chips and shredded bark are stored. Drawn into this conveyor, which will eventually lead into the power plant.
The chute leading into the conveyor is apparently plugged or frozen, and the chips are falling on the outside of the chute.
We're at the transfer point, leaving the storage bin. Loading onto the conveyor. Takes the wood chips.
Here you can see the chips sliding on the belt, which has a bit of frost or ice on it.
Again, you can see the cold chips sliding back cold belt.
This is the drag conveyor on top of the metering bins inside the power plant. These are the metering bins and the live bottom screws located below them. The chips and wood waste finally come down the red chutes and feed the Detroit Stoker spreader stokers as shown here.
We're going to be conducting a test on a Williams 48-5 rotary disc screen with a 3/8 inch IFO with wood and bark design disc. Today we're going to be testing this Williams 48-5 rotary disc screen with 3/8 inch IFO on some wood and demolition debris that has been through a tub grinder. The objective is going to be to make a mulch material on the accepts fraction, or the throughs, coming through the disc screen. This machine has been sold to Ashbrook, Simon and Hartley, and the serial number is 18712. The material that we're going to be feeding, as I said earlier, has been through what's known as a tub grinder. Most of the material is from demolition debris. There's some stumps that have been put through this machine, pallets and large planks and demolition lumber. We're going to be feeding about 10 or 20 pounds at this time for a timed run. As you can see, the disc screen has done a very good job of separating a nominal 1-inch product on the accept sides from this oversized material that we're going to be running in the C-17 hog upstairs. Okay, these are the oversized material. It appears that some of them are as long as 12 to 14 inches long, 4 or 5 inches wide, which should be good feed for the hog, which we can reduce further to make the mulch that's required. Over on the accept side, pieces are all would certainly pass through a 1-inch screen, I would think, Bob, huh?
Yes.
And what's the maximum length you got there? Maybe 2 to 3 inches?
Maybe about 3.
3-inch long?
Yes.
Okay. Okay.